Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab, in the book, teaching you some good stuff. That's what I do for you. Oh, it's going to be good today. Let's go. Writism 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tune into receiving them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right Thinker's mission, yeah, and I'm on it, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinker's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily, will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. You see where we going with this? Let's get there together. So I asked the question, do you know you? You will when I'm through. It's rhetorical, but if you know how to answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not, excuse me, is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know, dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know is just spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. And to Maya, be true. I just wrapped up with the Hara My Cat and Akar, but I got some more stuff for you for the Leo constellation. But right now, right thinkers, let's talk about the history according to Manetho. Who was he? I'm about to tell you. He was the last Egyptian high priest. And he's going to give you a chronological breakdown of the Egyptian calendar. And we're going to do some chronology right now. And I'm just giving dates. Pay attention. This is all teaching purposes. I'd have heard y'all talk about the... No, leave them alone. Let's go with the history of Manetho. All right, let's start getting involved. The evidence, here you go. I'm going to give you some evidence of the new dating of the Sphinx. Okay? Affects the treatment of what the history, the truth of we call Manetho. They call him Menace. Okay? But Manetho was one of the who? Last ancient Egyptian high priests who had what? Retained the original knowledge of who? Our ancient history of Kemet. Okay? So he's the old head. Okay? Back then, it was passed down generation to generation. I don't have a son who's going to follow in my footsteps. No, this ain't how we do it. But that's how they did it back then. And watch this. In 241 BCE, listen to the dates. Pay attention. In ancient times, the numbers we counted down. Like sands through an hourglass, time went backwards, it went down. The ancients started keeping records, document records, 10,000 BCE. Okay? This guy, I'm about to tell you about now, he was the last. I just gave you the information. And that was 241 BCE. So a whole lot of time had transpired since then. And he was the last. So I'm going to give you a breakdown, a little history, because this is some good information. Ordinarily, I would call it fluff, but I can try to break it down and make it make sense and make it out a lesson. So ordinarily, I would just pass through this thing. I did, but I said, no. So a bit of my teaching side said, teach it. Give it to them. Okay, here you go. A lot of people could care less about this information, but that's what I think. But some people may appreciate it. That's what I'm doing it for. You. All right. So in 241 BCE, he was commissioned to what? To compile, okay, series of what? Wisdom texts. Not superstitious, but wisdom texts by who? You ready? King Ptolemy II. Remember I told you about them? They're Greeks. They're the white man, the original. They came into Egypt. When they got into Egypt at 3200 BCE, they've been in control pretty much ever since then. And he wanted to be remembered. So he told the last Egyptian high priest of the original concepts to put together a book. And what he did say, with his credit, wisdom text. So I'm giving credit for that. And watch this. One, he was King Ptolemy II, so he wasn't the first one. They've been there for a while. And watch this. Where he's from? Macedonia. Where's Macedonia? Greek. They was the Macedonian Greek rulers of Egypt. Didn't y'all? Wait. He was the Macedonian Greek Egypt. Okay. Greek ruler of Egypt. Where? After it was captured and controlled by who? The Greeks. But didn't you say it was captured and taken over by the Greeks? You feel me now? I'm trying to get a message to you. And one of Manetho's compositions included what? A history of Egypt. However, so is a however there. All right, however, I like this. Manetho original. There you go. Watch this. Now pay attention. You got to pay attention. This is the stuff that they've been doing for a long time. Manetho's original writings did not survive into present time. So what we got? So therefore, the accounts of his writings are now being told by the Greeks who studied his works. They say study. Other ones say borrow. I say stole. Okay? The works and constitute what? The current. Now, what they took and made it constituted what we call now the current remaining records of his work. Told by them. And some of the accounts were what? Differ. I wonder why. If you telling the story from your side, you tell the story from your side, which story is right? You say your story is right and true. You say your side is right and true. You got two different stories. Understand that. Moving on. So you're going to hear the work from their accounts. And the accounts going to what? They're going to differ from what? Each other. Two people talking about the same thing differently. In certain respects, his history has come down to us in what? In the form of translation. We all know that. You got the original. You want to make copies. We got the original. Everything after that original is going to be a little less original. And the further you go, it's going to get less. But you still started with the original. But now you're getting translation. You're going to interpret it your way. Everybody reads that book. I'm pointing to the book at my spot over there. Okay? Everybody reads it and interprets it different. I done heard the same plays and three said many different ways. And I ain't got a problem with that. Okay? It's meant to be that way. But if the goal is to get you to know, understand again, I ain't got a problem. Again, it's wisdom text. So maybe they tell you the Bible what? Basic instruction before leaving earth. So we get all that. All right, moving on. But it was been translated. Now, so the original, bye-bye, you're going to get translated, watered down versions. And depending who and what their intentions are is what you're going to get. So let me give you an understanding, so be prepared. But part of which are missing certain portions. However, it has been ascertained that what he grouped the dynastic rulers of ancient Egypt. Okay, now he going back thousands of years, 3,000 years from what he learned and been practiced and taught originally. Now we're going to hear his story from somebody else, and they say he broke them down to 30 dynasties. Okay, and containing around 330 pharaohs. Again, okay, in a period of around, you ready? 4,500 years. It's a long time. Okay, going back from his time And this now we at 241. From 45 to 241. Okay, you talking about roughly 4,300 years. And watch this. According, there we go. That word right there. If somebody say according, be prepared. What? Not for the truth. I'm just saying. If you ever hear me use according, I'm about to tell you something that I don't really know why, because it's according to somebody else. I don't know for sure. That's all. Mythological stories is always what? According to. Okay? Religion is always what? Based on you believing it, according to it. So understand that your discernment got to kick in at a certain point in time. Everything I try to tell you, at least it makes sense. You know, I show you discernment with decide. Okay, it makes sense. Now we might not like it or follow it, but it makes sense. Simple. Moving on. But according to Manetho, our ancient Egyptian chronology included the following periods. Let's go. There's 4 of them. No, there's 3 here. The first one, now, remember, this is according to somebody. The first one is the gods. We had a period where the gods was what? In Genesis, it began with the emergence of what? The great Enoch, or what we call the company of God and goddesses that raised neither the noon, headed by Ra. Okay, the supreme being, according to the Anuian theory and the Syrian concept. And the god Ra, watch this, himself ruled over the earth. The story goes, Ra lived amongst his people. The people loved him, adored him, worshipped him. Yeah, okay, cool. When he got old, you know how we do, man. That Ra get a little old. Look, he's dribbling, he get falling off his game. So he was kind of insulted. So he said, okay, I'm leaving y'all. I got on his serpent and flew up the serpent in the rainbow. He took off. Matter of fact, not the serpent, that's a different story. So he took off on the cow goddess and took him up to his abode where he rests now. For only people who will get to him now, because he didn't like the bad people. Okay? If you're unrighteous, you're disrespectful, you won't make his presence. If you're righteous, virtuous, and live right past the scales of Maya, you're going to hang out with him. That's the concept, that's the philosophy that they had. Okay, getting up to that. So they said, yeah, one time the gods walked the earth. All right, watch this. And that's the story. 2, second phase, demigods. Demigods are the ones that come after the god, because for some reason, gods never came to, from y'all religious concept, all the gods that came down to earth so that women was fair and had sex with them. So you gave them babies, half God, half human. That's a demigod. And y'all don't have no God in Egypt. The gods had women. They didn't have to come to earth and mate with the, you never heard Ra, none of them mating with the humans, but every 20 of them guys, they come down, they get them earth women. Moving on. The black sisters look good, but to anybody, so I get it. Moving on, no joke. But after the gods, you had the demigods who ruled the earth. Hercules, or your mythological guys, okay, the son Haru. Watch this. He be in there. Watch this. Now, this came a descendant line of what they call royal rulers. And that followed by 30 of them in the city of Memphis, the Memphite concept, right? These were followed by another set of royal rulers. You ready? Haru, the Shimsus. Shimsu means a follower of Haru. Haru would be the equivalent to Yah, Jesus Christ. Or in the Indian, the Hindus, they're, Krishna, okay? Same thing, son of God, same thing, same concept. It's principle and aspects. Y'all didn't create it, y'all didn't start it, the Egyptians put it down to you, and everybody else been following that pattern ever since. But the Shimsu, I would be considered a Shimsu. I follow Haru. Simple. Maya. Often mentioned in various texts, referring to Yahweh ancient worship of who? Haru. As who? The supreme spirit belonged to this age. He's always been the spirit in every culture that's been about. What? It's the original spirit. That's where it starts from. Moving on. That's all. Moving on. Let me get down here. And then you got the third one. The spirits of the dead. What you mean by that? I'm glad you asked. I tell you, when you don't know your higher self, your ego, you're spiritually dead. You're living, you're functioning, but spiritually you're dead. You don't know who you are. Just ignorant of your higher self. They consider that being dead. And as a Mason, I would take you from the dead level of ignorance and raise you to the living level with what? Light consciousness and understanding how to use the Masonic working tools that we give you. I give you the same thing now with knowledge of self. It haven't changed a bit. It's called esoteric teaching, occult knowledge. Because the general public don't want that. You have to come get that. Everybody don't come and listen to what I'm talking about. Why? Everybody don't want it. Simple. Moving on. Free will, free choice. But the spirit of the dead is all those ignorant of them higher selves. The egotistical piece. So we got a bunch of them. But watch this. Now, after that period of the demigods came the spirit of the dead, meaning the humans who are ignorant of themselves. According to the Turin Papyrus, original ancient Egypt documents. Remember, we the last, but we kept the documents dating to, you ready, circa 1440 BCE. From 45 to 14, you still got a bunch of time in between, and that's fine. Okay, now you got the papyrus to start substantiating some of the stuff that's been passed down. So you got the dates of the periods, and these are the gods' dates was 2302. Okay. After that, that would last about maybe 9-10 years, maybe 1,000 years. Now the demigods went from 13,420. The spirit of the dead cannot be deciphered due to what? The damage of the documents. So now, here we go. It was this guy named Eusebius, okay, a historian, and they always want to jump in, and we're going to get some of his information. Some of it's good, some of it a little outlandish. So let's talk about him. But now, according to Eusebius, the dates of the periods of the ancient Egypt before Manetho, the uniter, they call him the uniter because he brought Upper and Lower Egypt together, supposedly. This ain't about that. But watch this. This is talking about time now. The uniter of what? The two lands. The two lands always mean upper and lower. And remember, in Egypt, south is up, north is down. We ain't going to talk about that, but yeah. And what they're saying, the Western civilization said they got it backwards. They're the originators conceptually, but they got it backwards. Moving on. This one tidbit. But watch this. He said this happened the total of 27 years before the unification. Okay, so that was, again, a lot of time in between, almost 3,000 years in between. According to another historian, Diodorus Siculus, and the dates that hit the periods total that he come up with, you ready? 33,000 before the unification. So they within a 5,000 year difference. Okay, again, we're dealing with them. These periods were then followed by what they call a dynastic period now, which is the only period of ancient Egypt of which, you ready, most people have knowledge of. You ready? Circa 5,000 BCE to 30 BCE. Roughly about 4,700 years. Again, right on in the time frame of what was going on. Remember, we ain't doing who was in charge. We just doing a time period. Understand that. We're going to break down a calendar in a second. If I got enough time, I see it's rolling. But now these time periods started, and only thing they keep records of from 5,000 BCE on. So if they go to Samaria and they got records that say 6,000, Sumerians before that. Okay, well, let me explain this to you right quick. The Sumerians invented the wheel, right? So if we followed them, we would have known about the wheel. We wouldn't be pulling them goddamn sleds, right? We didn't have wheels. Moving on. Little tidbit. Now, again, where we at down here? That 5,000, and all the history, everybody talk about Egypt is just right in that little time frame. Don't want to go past that. Well, there's no proof. Oh, yes, we got plenty of proof. We tell you that, but you don't have. Again, moving on. I see the clock. Let me get this out the way. I got more for you, though. This is just the beginning. I got this one covered. Now, due to the differences, watch this, in what the historical records, an exact dating for each period preceding what the dynastic period is not available. I just told you. According to them. Remember, they only can do what they had availability to. And according to them, that's as far as it goes. That's why you need your people to tell you about you. If somebody's going to tell you about you, they can only go what? According to. It's a little tidbit. Moving on. However, it's always a however. I like that. It is reasonably certain that the total number of the years outlined above goes back in history to at least 28,000 BCE. Okay, 28,927 years from the time when Manetho was writing in what 241 BCE, and this gives a total of number of years around the beginning of the preceding what they call the great year. Now you got the great year, and then you got great months. Just like we got the year, we got months. They got great months. Now I'm going to give the time of the great months. They're talking about the great year. In preceding the current one, watch this. This little time thing here. We dealing with more to human beings. In essence, the pre-dynastic and dynastic periods of rulership by what we know to be the pharaohs or kings and queens during that period. But now this period must be divided into what we call pre-dynastic age and the dynastic age. For what? For the dynastic age, that is often used what to represent the beginning of ancient Egyptian civilization, which is just wrong. Okay, but it only why? Because it only refers to what? The time of the major unification of all the kingdom or the nomes, where we have 42 of them, hence the 42 confessors, 42 judges on the council. They all had a say in what was going on up and down the Nile Valley as a people of what? The southern ends and the northern portion of the country into one single nation. I'm going to end that lesson because the next lesson I'm going to take you through the Pharaonic era, and I'm going to give you the time and dates of the chronological dates of times, and take you through a nice little history. Should be interesting. I thought it was fluff. Now I think it's important. So at that, I'm going to end this lesson. I'll be right back in a minute. Take a little break. Do what you got to do. Get your popcorn. Get comfortable, because I'll be right back with the next lesson. But in closing, right thinkers, may you all live to be 100. Me, 100 minus a day. So I never none of my right thinkers have passed away. I'll be right back.